What's up, guys? Power Hour CLT buyers, we are live. Matter of fact, I want someone to take note. We're actually 10 seconds early. For us, that's an accomplishment. We're here. We made it on time. Everything's rolling. It's almost like we're kind of figuring out what we're doing around here.
What it looks like, but I would still say the 10 seconds early we are today doesn't make up for the minutes that we've been late in previous
We don't get
weeks.
to credit ourselves.
We don't get to credit
it doesn't
ourselves,
work that way.
no. But we are getting better at it. It feels nice to not be rushed coming into this, trying to get done at exactly 12:30. But overall, I think we're really starting to find our groove here, and I'm excited about today.
Absolutely. So we've had a pretty hectic week. We've had a pretty hectic couple of weeks. We didn't get to do Power Hour last week.
That's right.
We were in Charleston, South Carolina. So we can talk about that in a little bit. We were in Charleston. We had the Exchange, our monthly meetup, and of course, office hours, and now Power Hour. So kind of a lot of moving parts over the last couple of weeks. We've gotten a couple deals closed. Which of those topics should we share first?
I say we go earliest to most recent. We can start with Charleston, and kind of maybe the lack of office hours and Power Hour last week. We're always super excited when we get to go down to our quarterly mastermind events, right? This time we were in Charleston, and one of the takeaways that I had, there were quite a few takeaways, but one of the interesting takeaways I thought from this weekend overall was just how flexible people are starting to be in their business. They're looking for different exit strategies. They're pulling back on expenses. They're starting to slow down a little bit, not necessarily in terms of volume or anything like that, but they're taking away some of the extra expenses to make the operations a little bit easier to breathe.
More efficient.
Yep. So I really just enjoyed having those conversations because, you can get stuck in the mindset of, I've got to do more deals. I got to do this every quarter. I got to do this every year. And, our buddy Beto loves to say, well, if you did 50 deals last year, right, at 10,000 a piece, why instead of shooting for 100 deals at 10,000 a piece, why not shoot for 25 deals at 20,000 a piece and make the same amount of money in half the effort?
That's right.
So it's kind of cool to see other people trying that strategy, and it doesn't feel like some very hard concept to grasp. I think it's just not what you see on YouTube, you see on Instagram, all the places that you guys are watching us right now. I mean, you don't hear a lot of people talking about scaling down. It's much more scaling up. So right. I really appreciated those conversations, and it's nice to know that other people are thinking a similar way.
And it's kind of irrelevant. Like we did X number of deals or whatever. Like that's not really a flex. That's not really a flex that we would share in our business.
Yep.
Because you could do 4 deals, and if they're $100,000 deal a piece, you're going to be running a pretty effective business.
That's how the guys in San Francisco and California survive.
That's right.
And I think I'd much rather do 5 deals a year than 50.
Heck yeah.
But it's kind of subject of the market you're in as well.
So for those folks who maybe haven't been following us as closely, why were we in Charleston? What were we there for? Which peer group were we meeting with?
Yeah, so part of the Inner Circle Elite Mastermind run by our buddy Don Costa. It's a mastermind that we've been a part of for quite a few years. I think you were actually one of the founding members of that mastermind. But basically we meet 4 times a year. It's always somewhere different, somewhere exciting, somewhere fun. So we get to hang with people and network and do fun things. But people all over the country, they have different exit strategies. Some are flippers, some are wholesalers, some are buy and hold guys. And it's just a great opportunity for us to talk basically in a big, large circle. It's kind of a big brain dump, and be able to discuss challenges we're having in the business and get critical feedback from people who are in our corner, not necessarily competitors. And it allows us to potentially avoid pitfalls that other people have by getting that feedback, or we of course can give advice when warranted of other ways people can avoid pitfalls that we've been in.
So we got to go to Charleston. We got to spend time with people who are deploying different business models. One of the operators that I really liked was a friend who I just met at this event, Brant, who was doing like a lot of commercial stuff. So that was really cool. So Brant, if you're watching this, we found what you were sharing pretty interesting. So thanks for that. There were Minnie and their team and what they were doing with, like, they bought a church.
Oh, I know.
And they're talking about like rezoning that and reworking that, and then also trying to figure out if they can keep, they have a religious background, so if they can keep true to the core purpose of that building and still use it as a sanctuary. So just a lot of really cool conversations. We got to be again in Charleston, and then in November we're going to Las Vegas with that same group and going to talk about how we've moved the large rocks in our business over the last quarter, and then we're going in November, so we'll be able to target how we're closing out the year and then starting 2024. So, you and I always treat these quarterly meetings as a way to kind of set a gate and go, okay, what have we worked on so far this year? What are we taking on as the next challenge? What are we seeing as a weak point in our business? And for the benefit of folks who are, watching, Matthew jumped in and said, Brant was great. Thanks. Yeah, Matt, we strongly agree. It was great meeting you too, man. But one of the things you and I are struggling with right now is disbursement in the back end of our system for our private lenders. So one of the big rocks for us is solving that problem. You and I have spent a little bit of time on that this week. We're going to spend some more time on it next week. You've been spending time talking one-on-one with some of our mentors, Beto being one of them. So there's just a lot of effort we're doing to try and look at our business and say, what is underperforming to our expectation and what can we do to fix that?
Absolutely. And I thought one of the interesting things, just it happens at all of the masterminds, but we go in with like, oh, this is our A problem, this is our B problem, this is our C problem. These are the things I want to discuss. But then you hear one or two other people talking about their A problem or their B problem, and you're like, crap, that's an A problem or a B problem for me too that I wasn't even thinking about because my mind has been fixated on this one problem. And sometimes the other problem that's brought up to you that you weren't even thinking about helps solve your actual problem. So there were a couple of times, like, we went in not thinking that our relationships with private lenders in terms of reporting and distributions and all that stuff was that big of a problem because we were managing it decently well. But then when we had the discussions with the people in the group who are doing it exceptionally well, we were like, oh,
we're really underperforming.
We're underperforming. And it's not that it's felt like it's hindered our business, but the efficiency that's available could see how much it could benefit our business.
That's right.
So we kind of came out with maybe our A rock coming in didn't get solved. Because, well, I don't want to say that. I got a lot of good feedback on it, but a lot of people had a similar A problem.
That's right.
But we came back with a different A problem that we can actually implement and solve rather quickly, hopefully, and then have that rock cleaned by November.
And knowing where we're trying to go over the next 18 months, how do we become more efficient with capital? How do we solve that problem? Solving this systematic problem allows the extension of that to become a lot easier.
That's right.
Okay, so that was Charleston.
So, yep.
Got a couple of big nuggets for us. Great social, great to be in a space where people understand the vision and growth of what we're doing. So those were all wins for us. Charleston's a great city in and of itself. So that was fun.
Yeah.
What else has been going on since then?
Before we go over there, I thought one other really cool thing about our mastermind in Charleston was Matt Sorensen coming and speaking with us.
I'm gonna just gloss over that. Right?
I was about to say, it's not like you set that up completely to help him get on board, and then you're gonna pass on him now. But no, so Matt Sorensen and Nate came out from Directed IRA. They spoke to the group about how to utilize people that have self-directed IRAs that are interested in investing in real estate or other things of that nature. And we had a really robust discussion about setting it up properly, how to operate from an understanding of the best interests of the investor as well as ourselves when there's a custodian involved. And overall, I thought he just gave us so many opportunities on ways to network with people who have funds available. Everyone's looking for private money, and when he drops the nugget that there's how many trillion locked
36
up?
trillion.
$36 trillion locked up in retirement accounts, and many people don't even know how to utilize the money in their retirement accounts outside of a mutual fund from Schwab or Fidelity or things like that. So that was really beneficial. And then, of course, he kind of plugged the event that they're holding in Raleigh on the, 20th and 21st of October.
You got it.
So they're going to be talking about that in a whole lot more detail. But of course, it's going to be a room full of people who hold IRAs, not real estate investors. So we'll be going there. I'd recommend anyone who's in the area to go as well, because the opportunity to network with people who have money to invest, I don't know of a better place to be.
And just in fact, for the benefit of folks who are watching us live, if you jump on our Instagram, you can go to the link tree and there's a link for the Self-Directed IRA Summit. Early bird pricing, they're kind of tiered it out. So they had early bird pricing, and now they're at a different tier. But that pricing expires Saturday. We have heard feedback from Nate and the team that tickets are being sold at a pretty rapid pace. They probably will sell this event out. It sounded like the VIP tickets are practically sold out now, and then the general admission tickets are selling now. But even the other thing, I don't know if we've shared publicly, we're going to get to be on a panel at the event.
Yep.
We're also going to be there in a bit of a vendor role. So we're excited about that and working on the documentation that we can bring with us, both of our experience and opportunities that we have in front of us, to help people understand how they can put their funds to work. So we're excited about all that.
Super excited, man. We've been doing this a few times. Obviously, we were out in Costa Mesa for that not too long ago. We'll again in Raleigh,
Orlando. We've gotten
so just continuing to put yourselves in rooms like this can do nothing but positives for your business.
It's really cool too to be in a room where we're like one of the unique operators. That's
like we're one of the few real estate people in the room, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because everyone's interested in it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot more people that have money than know how to do real estate. So being able to kind of be the operator that can bridge that gap for them, and they can receive passive returns similar to a stock market, but it's secured and often a better return than what's being given by the market.
And at a minimum, at least less volatile.
Right.
So
absolutely.
If you're in the market, you're at the whims of the market. So if MSNBC is reporting it as an up day, you're probably feeling okay. And if they're reporting it as a down day, you're probably not feeling as good that day. Where most of our investors don't experience that type of fluctuations. And they seem to appreciate that.
Yeah. So overall, Charleston was awesome. A lot of cool nuggets, a lot of good resources. And, being in these rooms allows us to even know about these self-directed IRA events to go to. So the power of networking introduces you to other opportunities to network, which is one of the things as visionaries in the business and networkers, like this is what we live for.
That's it.
It's cool.
We did, guys, our team is dropping the link in the chat for the link tree. So you guys are going to see it there. So if you can jump on that, great. Otherwise, again, go over to our bio, primarily on Instagram. It's the easiest way to find it, but it's the Self-Directed IRA. And we would love to see you guys there.
So after Charleston, I think we all came back a little wiped. They're long nights and early mornings. But we actually had a really busy week. We had 2 deals close. Well, one closed right at the end of last week when we were in Charleston. So that I guess we won't count, but that was cool. We got a flip done, celebrated it on Monday with lunch, went to Moo and Brew and had a good time there. But then we had another one close yesterday, purchased one in Belmont. Should be a really cool rental for us.
Relatively low rehab.
Yeah, this is, it's funny you bring this up. I've heard about it for years, but I think this is the first time I can truly say we're doing a cosmetic flip.
Yeah.
Like nothing structural, no massive overhaul,
no systems,
no new appliances. Like we're literally doing flooring, paint, hardware. Is there anything else that we're doing?
maybe the countertop.
Maybe the countertop.
Probably not, but if our guys can find us a good deal on a countertop, we'll do that.
So if anyone in the space that's listening right now knows a countertop guy,
find us.
Drop it in the chat. We need the interaction. But so that's really exciting. That one came quickly. Shout out to our lovely realtor being able to provide that one for us. Sounds like we were able to solve the seller's problem as well by getting it done nice and quick. But this is a project, I view this as a long-term hold. It's right near the lake. Really cool opportunity in an area that doesn't have a lot of action. It seems to be a place where people stay for a long time. So really excited about it. We were talking about this last week too. We don't celebrate our wins as much as we should. And I think, this isn't supposed to sound like a humble brag or anything, but it's like we do have a fair amount of wins in the business in terms of flips being done or rentals being acquired. And I think one of the dangers of this business is it starts to become buffered down a little bit. Like, oh, it's just another closing. Oh, it's just another property. But I think intentionally trying to celebrate these wins and really taking a moment to understand all the hard work you did for success is really it's a responsibility of a business. It's not just a perk. And that's something we're working on because we are so bogged down in the details all the time. But I think the ability to recognize wins and really take the time to appreciate your team and everything that they do will actually move you further. So it's kind of cool to be restarting that aspect of things as well.
For sure.
What up, Darby?
Yeah. Michael Darby joining the chat. Hope you're doing well, bro. Hey, shout out, first of all, you don't even know this, but shout out to Michael Darby and all of the help he has given me. We've been working on a refi, and the lender, it's a true structured lender, a conventional lender, and the lender has just been really, really specific about the insurance requirement. Darby and his folks have sent over, I don't know, it may be an exaggeration, but probably like 16 adjustments to the insurance policy.
Adjustments where I told you to stop telling me about all the adjustments, right?
Right. But Michael Darby, thanks so much for all you do for us, man. We appreciate you. You're a very important member of our team. Thank you.
Of course. But yeah, so jumping back, we got that property closed yesterday. Hopefully rehab starts within the next week or two. And then we also had a really busy day yesterday with, of course, office hours and the exchange. So we can kind of jump back to what we discussed in office hours. We did the basics of a rehab. And of course, you guys know Power Hour is here to kind of rehash what we did during office hours if you weren't able to attend. But the exchange was last night as well. And I'm going to pump our own chest for a little bit. Third straight meetup with a record attendance. So shout out to me, you, and the team, but really shout out to your wife for doing the proper marketing to get the type of attention and attendance that we are looking for. So shout out to you, Diana. We really appreciate it. The events have been awesome. I thought last night was arguably our best one yet.
Yeah. It's most in line with the vision of what we have.
That's right.
Right? Like every time we're doing an event, we have a view of what we're trying to deliver to the community. And I think because of the hard work of Christine, because of the hard work of Diana, and Sam and his team, what they brought was most in line with what our vision is for what the exchange is meant to be.
So you brought up Sam. What was Sam talking about? For everyone who didn't see it on our socials over the last month.
I don't know how you could have missed it.
That's right.
But you and I we went to Asheville. Yep. And we got to do an event for our friend Rodrigo,
who showed up last night, by the way. Shout out to Rodrigo. We appreciate that, bro. 2 hours for a 2-hour meetup.
And then back home.
Meant a lot, bro.
But we got to be in Asheville. And while in Asheville, we were presenting on, you spoke about data management. I spoke about creative finance. I had to think about what we even spoke about. I spoke about creative financing. But Sam was speaking about the co-living method and how communals work and the rental by the room models. And as soon as we met Sam, we were like, he's our people. He's our people. So we definitely wanted to have him come and share how that model works and how they're deploying it and some of the challenges and the lending and all these different things associated with it. So as soon as we asked Sam, he was like, absolutely, I'm in. And not only that, he brought out his whole team to be able to share the model with us.
Like literally brought his COO from Dallas just for the event.
So just shout out to those guys. Such a humble team. They're accomplishing really big things. They're showing a model of how basically after 4 or 5 properties, you're reaching like your retirement targets as
the
if you had
like the Robert Kiyosaki rat race number, right? Like,
and so full disclosure, and we'll talk about it in future power hours. You and I are deploying a communal right now.
That's right.
It's a heavy lift. So we, it won't be live until late in the year, but we're running the model, right? And
running the model, honestly, like tempering back a little bit to the point where it's like, well, obviously we know Sam is doing it exceptionally well, right? But there are a lot of systems, especially on the property management side of things, that we're going to have to learn as we go.
That's right.
So, how we've been discussing the last like 3 weeks. I'm like coming to you with every single house over 2,000 square feet. I'm like, bro, we got this. We got to do it. And what I would say is maybe in 12 months, we can actually operate under that type of urgency specificity.
Yep.
But let's crawl before we walk before we run. Just because Sam is amazing as it doesn't mean we have the same strengths
or systems
or all that stuff. So we're super excited about it. The property that we're doing it on actually has some other exit strategies that we might be able to find something else to do with the land. So overall, it's just a really cool project. And without Sam at that Asheville event, even after we came back from this event, it was going to be a wholesale deal for us.
Yeah. Or at minimum a flip.
So, and now the model's changed, and this is why going to events like this is so valuable.
And timing, right? Like
it's almost like it was meant to be.
It's almost like it was meant to be. Shout out to Malachi. Hey man, hope you're doing well. Guys, if there are any questions in the chat, make sure you guys are dropping that. Malachi is a guy who's been following us on socials for a long, long time. So we appreciate you, brother. Hope all is well. Thanks for all the insight that you share, the encouragement, and he's a super mindset guy and super, super sharp, super strong mindset guy. So, okay. So that's Concord. So we're moving forward on that. That's exciting. We got the final quotes on the communal that we're going to get to put together there. The exchange. Shout out to lots of shout outs today. Lots of shout outs. We have began taking sponsors for the exchange as we move to a new location, and
maybe still open for a sponsor for Power Hour.
Maybe still open for a sponsor there. But Allied Title, and the team at Jericho Law.
So Jericho Law, arguably like the perfect combination, right? Because Solomon is definitely one of our preferred attorneys in the space. He knows that. We know that. We appreciate everything, bro. But what a lot of people don't know is because we are in North Carolina, we are a attorney state. People know that, right? But in other states, it's a title state. So someone like Mike with Allied Title, that's who you would be taking your deal to. In North Carolina, it doesn't work that way. The attorney runs everything. However, attorney still has to run title. So they just have the relationship with the title office instead of us directly having it.
That's right.
But what a lot of people don't know is you can choose a preferred title office. Now, the attorneys are going to have 3 or 4 that they use because they can't rely on just one. They all have relationships with them and, maybe quotas and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of times it just falls under the radar for us. But if you've worked with a title company, if you've known an attorney that's worked with a title company that was able to get title back quickly, they were able to pull everything out very easily for us to understand and didn't need to go search for a whole bunch more information. That's a luxury.
And
right?
that's what the team like at Allied is doing for that transaction.
Bingo. So what we've done is we've told Solomon, hey, every single file that we do, we want Allied doing the title. One, it helps out our friends and helps them grow their business. But the reason we're doing it for them is because they've been able to help and make our business more efficient. So why not have a mutually beneficial relationship? So anyone out there, if you're doing deals at your closing attorney, you have the preference to choose a title office. I'm not going to suggest anyone specific, but we have a sponsor that may be willing to help.
Yeah, so Hajerica and Allied, as a group, they're both uniquely sponsors of the event, but they work very closely together.
That's right.
We're very thankful for those relationships.
Collective Realty.
So Andrea, who does a whole variety of things for us, but she's our primary listing agent. So she'll list most of the properties that we choose to get representation for. She just brought us on the buy side this acquisition we did this week out in Belmont. So that's exciting. And she's just someone who we've really grown to trust. She has a very good feel for the market. She knows when to tell us, hey, this is the best deal you're going to get. You should take this. She gives us feedback in all sorts of different ways, where we are relative to the market. Are we above it? Are we below it? She's just been a really effective partner for us. And if those of you who are out there are looking to work with a real estate agent who really understands the business and understands our side of it as well, Andrea is a really important partner.
And you just brought it up, but I still want you to elaborate on this a little more. Everything that you just described is something every real estate agent should be able to do. Should. I understand that. But what sets Andrea apart? Like, what does she do specifically in the investment space that makes it such an easy decision to work with her?
Okay, so this is going to tie in a little bit to a full conversation we had at office hours yesterday, so we can get into it in mass. But many real estate agents, and look, I'm licensed in North Carolina, but many real estate agents across the country do not understand the investment real estate space. I'll give you an example. It's often common that just because a property is operated as a rental, a real estate agent will describe it as cash flowing asset. Now, you and I know that just because it's generating rent does not mean it's a cash flowing asset, because you've got income and then you've got expenses and then you've got net operating income that's left. Well, it's only a cash flowing asset if that net operating income is positive. But many real estate agents will market that as cash flowing asset just because it's generating rent. It's really important to have real estate agents who understand the differences and nuances of real estate investing in a way that's supportive of your business.
Yep. And I think the big thing there, to your point, is having someone that understands that, yes, this might be a discount, but does it still make money?
That's right.
And Andrea is really good at figuring out what things to spend time on and which things not to spend time on.
And holding us accountable, right?
100.
Like, there's plenty of, look, as investors, our goal in the business is to make money. There's no hiding the ball on that, right? The whole purpose of the business is to make money.
That's right.
But there's many times that as investors or as individuals, we'll trip over dollars to pick up pennies. And Andrea is really good at saying, guys, this is a really great deal for you. Yes, it's not a home run, but it's a really solid triple. Let's get going. And her holding us accountable to say something like, look, guys, when we did the listing agreement, you said you wanted whatever number to make up, but 170. This offers at 166. Like, let's get something done. And having a partner that is like that is really helpful.
Yep. So Barrett asked a question on this topic. What are 3 questions that will help qualify an agent as investor friendly?
One question for sure is, have you worked with real estate investors? Do you have experience either as yourself, or do you have a catalog of investors you've worked with? If they can't comfortably give you a very solid and quick yes there, they're probably not the person for you to develop into that space. Like, I want someone who has a reputation in the space, who's working in the space, who's worked for other real estate investors, because there's only so many hours in a day and we can't train everyone.
That's right. Another question for me is, do you invest yourself?
Yep.
Right. If you have rental properties yourselves, and as you mentioned, they are actually cash flowing, that's a pretty good determining factor that you know how to underwrite a property. So you probably have an idea of what I probably am looking for.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect sign, and just because you don't invest doesn't mean you can't be an amazing investor agent.
That's right.
But it's like saying, you know, I grew up by the park, so I was able to play basketball every day, and it was mutually beneficial.
And as we know, I have no basketball skills, so that's not a qualifying metric. I am really bad at basketball.
That's okay. You still play. And you'll drive the cart on golfing, like
all the things.
You are a willing participant, and that's all anyone can ask. But what if Andrea finds a deal for us, and she's like, "Guys, you need $215,000. Do you have that?" You're gonna say, "Yeah, of course," because we know our last sponsor,
right? So, well, run through it.
Okay, so our last.
I know that I knew we were segueing it, but yeah,
but it's okay. I'll take it. So our last sponsor is Fun That Flip. Adam and Dave over there have.
Thanks to Dave for coming out.
I was about to say, it was so great to see you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've been like driving race cars all the time and doing drag racings at what 340 something miles an hour, if I saw properly. But really appreciated you coming out last night, and of course Adam as well. I mean, Adam's around us all the time, but I appreciate that because he doesn't have to be. You know, he comes, he gives us his support, asks thought-provoking questions for the community, all that. But what they do is they are a hard money lender, structured money lender, maybe. But they are able to provide a large majority of the purchase capital and all of the rehab capital on projects that we do. As we've said, we have chosen sponsors based off of people that we know are credible, we know do amazing things in the space, and treat their people properly. And not saying that other people in the space don't, but Adam and the Fun That Flip team has gone over and above to make sure that they're meeting our needs, and hopefully we can do everything in return to meet theirs.
I think what's cool for us is, so we started talking about rebranding the exchange, and we were outgrowing the old space, and look, there's real cost limitations about getting space and those types of things. But we were talking about how to move from where we were to be in a better position, right? And so we're like looking at each other and we're saying, I think sponsorships are really the only way that kind of bridges that gap for us. And we wrote out a list of sponsors. And every sponsor we wrote out is exactly the sponsors that we have. So every one of the people who you and I wrote down on a piece of paper that were the people who we support in our business, and they're supportive, and we're supportive of their business, are the same people who saw the vision of what we're trying to do. And that's just so encouraging.
Absolutely. It's like the relationship is on the same page that we feel.
Yeah.
And that's, to your point, reassuring.
Yeah.
So I guess I got to ask, what was your time like on a basketball team as a child?
We're not doing that.
No, I think we have to.
We're not doing that.
I don't think you have a choice at this point. It's a question that was asked by the audience.
The community.
Yeah.
The community.
So let's hear about it.
Wait, can we put it up on the screen just so we can see? Shocking. Taylor Pugh-esque a question that's trying to put me on the spot. I wonder why he'd want to do that.
Are you filibustering right now, or are we going to get to the point?
Filibustering.
I thought so.
So for the community, I was on a community rec league basketball league growing up, and the punchline to the whole story is I played a whole season as a young 9 or 10-year-old and never made one shot in any game. So obviously basketball is not my thing.
So my follow-up question to this would be, because it wasn't asked in the community, but how was your brother on that basketball team?
I remember he played. I don't think he was quite as bad as I was. Look, you grew up as a tall guy among your peers. Yep. I grew up as a tall guy among my peers. And so the funniest thing about that is a very, very common experience is, wow, you're tall, you must play basketball. And I'm like, no coordination between here and the ground. I could play some defense. My arms could get out, but
if I were to bet on the one sport that you would be great at if you put the effort in, and we know you're a triathlete and you do all that stuff, but the first thing that comes to mind is just ultimate frisbee. I think that's...
Oh, I would love that, bro. I would. It's just
you fit the mold. You're the type of dude, you don't need to be super hand-eye coordinated to do it. You just got to be able to catch it,
bro.
You just fit that mold, bro.
We used to play. Shout out to my Marine Corps buddies, but we used to play ultimate a little bit in when we were in the Marine Corps. And I used to love that jazz, man. Like nothing crazy competitive, but it was fun. And you end up in the mud. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I was the guy that would hang backwards so I didn't have to run, but then I could just launch the Frisbee and be
down the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, loved it. No, Ultimate Frisbee is a good time.
Yeah. But
all right. So we had the exchange.
Yeah. Okay.
Great turnout. Oh, Hot Fly. We appreciate you guys for hosting us. The venue was fantastic. All of the things we needed. So that worked out great. And then the last thing we haven't mentioned on Power Hour, and again, we're taking your guys' questions live. So if there's something you want to put me on the hot seat about being on
guys, he just said he's open to being on the hot seat. Come on, bring in some questions. Let's go.
But the last thing we haven't really talked about is office hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Two primary subject lines kind of came up. So every office hours we have a set topic, and the set topic for yesterday was a bit how to manage flip projects, so a little more substantial projects than just a true wholesale or a wholesale.
Yep.
But going back to the how to manage the relationship with agents, we also talked at some length about if I'm making an offer to a property that's on market, how do I make sure that the agent understands what we're doing and what's my responsibility to disclose and all those things. And the punchline of that really was, guys, when we're working with real estate agents, complete transparency and honesty about what we're doing is going to serve you most effectively.
That's right.
Some agents are going to understand it, some are not, but trying to obfuscate the fact that you may plan to assign the deal, or how you're planning to have funding or creative financing. Those are all elements that if you'll just be upfront about, you're going to have a much easier time.
Also, maybe find a way to guarantee their commission. Like everyone's money motivated, and you saying, hey, this opportunity looks good for me and I'm going to buy it, but I don't want to pay you. It's probably not a best practice to get proper feedback. So does that involve maybe finding a creative way to get the deal done so that they get paid? Yeah, it does. But maybe there's one more hurdle in an on-market transaction compared to an off-market transaction. And just to your point, being transparent and saying, hey, I am offering this property at a discount. However, if the seller is willing to accept a number at this price, I'm still willing to pay a commission to you based off of the full price, or however you want to create it. But you've got to get them to understand, I'm trying to work with you. I'm not trying to cut you out.
That's right. And being very clear. We've actually seen this in a couple of transactions recently, which is we have seen folks who are not as clean about the roles of individuals in the transaction. And the more often we're very, very clear about who's playing what position, we can be very clear about how people are compensated. We can be very clear about a whole variety of responsibilities. So that's to say, whether they're licensed or not, be very, very clear about the role each person is playing. If they're going to represent you in an agency relationship, have the documentation in place and have them represent you. If they're not going to represent you in an agency relationship and you're not going to compensate them for that, be very clear about that. Don't allow the gray area to exist, and you're going to be more effective.
That's right. So first embarrassing moment wholesaling a deal and how you manage through it. One immediately comes to mind for me. It wasn't overtly embarrassing, but it was one of these things where it was just like, really? We were looking at a property maybe 2 years ago in Kings Mountain, and I'm doing a walkthrough video, and this is to help us wholesale it, right? And after we take the photos and the walkthrough video, we upload it and we send it out to our buyers. And one of the tips that I'll give you after learning this the hard way is maybe send out the video with mute on. Don't actually add sound to your walkthrough video unless you're actually narrating what's going on, because the lady in the background when I was walking through this house just would not stop hitting on me. She would like make all these really like nice gestures and say all these like leading things, and doesn't matter anything about her, but afterwards I sent out that walkthrough video and I got like the most responses on a buyer's or on a dispo sheet ever, because everyone couldn't get over that video. So
one day
it wasn't hard to work through. It was just something where I was like, I'm never going to put myself in that situation.
You're never going to live this one down.
No.
That's one of the things, 15 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, guys, let me show you this one. It's almost in the same vein of on occasion when we get really aggressive responses from our marketing, like the voicemails or whatever, we have a place that we save those as well. So there's like the guy who's like, y'all, and he's a really country accent guy. Y'all about, this stupid. Y'all
Yep.
need to lose this number, like.
So I actually, this isn't embarrassing, but the other day I'm talking to a guy and he answers the phone. Peter's Pool Hall, placed behind the 8 ball. Pete speaking. How may I help you? And he does that to get people who have no interest. Like, he does that to scrape against like spammers, right?
Of course.
But it sounded so damn fake that like, I couldn't trust what he said. So I was just like, is Brian there? And he literally pauses for a second.
He's like, he's in the back.
No, he pauses for a second and he goes, you got me. So then later in the conversation, I called him out on it. I was like, just save my number so the next time you pick up the phone, you don't have to answer as Peter's pool hall service.
That's it.
And then he proceeded to tell me the 15-minute story of why he does that. And I'm like,
genius. Yeah,
bro, like, you killing it.
But there's a certain law firm in town that has like 6 partners.
Yeah.
And every time you call the receptionist, she has to rattle off all 6 partners' names. So it's like, if it were us, it'd be like Fishman, Pugh, Wilson, Sanchez,
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. And I'm like, you do that every time? And she's like, every time. So
we got to get an acronym going or something.
I don't know what other embarrassing moment. I mean, dude, I'm not minimizing.
There's probably 5 embarrassing moments a week.
That's the thing. And what you have to understand is you're dealing in a scenario that can be embarrassing for you sometimes. It can be embarrassing for the other people. You handled a situation the other day really well. We've talked about it a couple of times, but someone sent you some pictures. They clearly, look, you and I both have dogs. They clearly had dogs in their home. So you had to ask, like, basically, is there a dog smell in the home? And you handled it really well. You said, hey, I know this may be a little sensitive, but do you think there may be a need to freshen the place up? So there's just finding ways to be as gentle as possible when you're still gathering the information you need, because we need to know that, right? We can't. So,
well, you bring up a good point, and Malachi's making a joke about a week being 5 in a week being an understatement, and he's probably right. I think you just get desensitized to the embarrassing.
That's it.
Like, I have to ask questions about properties all the time that to the people answering is actually quite embarrassing. Like, they have to admit the condition of their home or anything like that. However, a lot of the questions about how we handle the process, about how we've dealt with very difficult situations before, that actually, even though I may not feel it personally, can be embarrassing. Like, perfect example, and we talk about it all the time, so it's fine, but we've bought a house from someone who was about to be convicted of murder.
Yeah.
Okay. In that situation, when we tell people about that, sometimes we get the, like, you really did that?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you, almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't deserve that. Right. And I don't take it that way, but that could be an embarrassing moment where it's like, I did something beneficial, but because it's viewed some type of way, I'm being viewed negatively, and that might be embarrassing. But this is I want to be the horse with the blinders on. I'm just going to go forward. I'm not going to look at what's happening next to me. And, usually the loudest voices are coming from the cheapest seats.
That's right. I think the thing that's interesting about, and we can kind of move on, because I do want to talk about, we've got some opportunities to connect next month, so we want to talk about that. But I think the thing that gets lost in that specific deal is, in spite of any individual's actions, like, do we approve of someone making that choice? Of course not. Right. There's no debate about that. But does her family still need the services that we can provide? Absolutely. And absent our help, would they have been in a better or worse place? And I would say that they would have been in a worse place. And so I'm completely comfortable with how we handled that transaction. I'm completely proud of our ability to meet very challenging situations. And again, 10 out of 10 times we would do it again. There's
right.
no,
And not trying to like dive into specifics, but it's like, it's not like she just has some extended family. Like she had a daughter who was under 18 years old. Like there's serious ramifications that she didn't deserve.
That's right.
And you don't always have to bite the bullet for choices of other people.
That's it. Yeah. And her partner were able to kind of move on in a more effective way because of our help. So
That's right.
I'm really pleased about that. Okay. We won't go into depth now, but
They can talk about that in the comments.
they can talk about that in the comments. Taylor's talking about when the DEA seized the house he was working on. That's a true story. So they can talk about that. But okay, next month, what are we doing? How's the exchange rolling? What are we doing?
Yeah. So next month, I think it's September 14th.
Yep.
Back at Hopfly, which is South Mint Street near the stadium. We are going to be dealing with some rock star real estate agents. And basically the conversation is going to be how their business and what they do can help us thrive in our business, and then how our business in return can help them thrive.
Love
and
that.
we were talking about this a little earlier with like how mutually beneficial our relationship with Andrea is. But I think what this exchange will hopefully exemplify is that they're not that hard to find. Like rock star real estate agents. Like there's a lot of agents out there, so maybe the percentage we'll agree is small, but of 5,000 agents, I mean, there's still dozens upon dozens that are willing to help you and do an exceptional job. So like we've got Jordan, part of KGI Investments, who's going to be there, KGI Ventures. Ernie's going to be there.
Brian
Bain's going to be there. Our buddy Ben hopefully is coming.
We've penciled him in. Hopefully he's going to be able to make it. He's got some logistics that may make that challenging. But all of those guys are, and we'd love to have some ladies. So I don't mean to be exclusive.
Well, we did the ladies panel just a few months ago.
We did. But these specific individuals we've selected because they happen to be licensed, but they're using their licenses in very innovative ways to meet very specific niche challenges. So we're trying to say to the community, yes, you can be licensed, but you also can be an expert in a very specific niche and probably have a more productive business because of it.
Right. So like, I'm not trying to give away their secret sauce, but part of the reason we've chosen these 4 people is because even though they're all active in the investor community, they're in different disciplines.
That's
so
right.
Like Brian, he deals a lot with retail, and he's going to be dealing with the end of flips and listing properties and all that stuff. And he's huge in the space.
That's right.
Then you have Jordan, who is also doing the same thing Brian does, but he's also flipping.
That's right.
So he's more connected to each individual product and can be able to list it and market it to the nth degree, right? Then, and he's doing more luxury. He's like high-end 7-figure homes type stuff. Then you've got Ernie. Ernie is he's able to list his own properties. He's able to buy the commissions, but he's a GC. He's a flipper.
That's right.
So he can work on his projects and collect the commissions while helping other people collecting commissions that way too. So financially, it's a huge benefit for him. And then Ben, we know he's an investor, but he's now doing commercial stuff. So we're going to be able to talk about flips. We're going to be able to talk about GCs. We're going to be able to talk about listings. We're going to be able to talk about development, all around how investors and real estate agents can work together in those spaces, which I've never been to a meetup like that before. So I think it'll be cool.
I love it. Yeah. And I love it. And these are these are just people who we just think the world of. And so happy to have their support. So happy to have them in the community. So that's lots of fun.
Yeah. So once again, September 14th, 7 to 9 p.m. over at Hopfly Brewing. It will be happening right after office hours from 3 to 5 over at 2433 The Plaza. I think you guys have heard that before.
Yeah. And so for the meetup specifically, the exchange, we are requiring registration now.
Yep.
So for those of you who came out last night, we had Christine playing door security there. So she did a great job of that. But definitely register on Eventbrite before you come. That'll make getting into the event a little quicker for you guys. So we'd love to have you do that.
Yep. Second floor, up the stairs, near the ping pong table. You will find us.
Look for all the people standing around talking real estate.
Talking real estate. That's right.
If they're not talking real estate, you're probably in the wrong part of the building. But those are the things that were on my mind. Certainly happy to see if there are any other questions that we haven't hit. I think we got most of them.
Really selfish question for me and Ed. Raise your hand in the chat if you guys play Diablo. We'd love to talk about real estate while playing Diablo this weekend. So if you guys are down,
That's right.
definitely let us know. I used to watch some other, we'll just call them gurus in the space for lack of a better term. They used to do like coaching while playing video games.
Love that.
And I'm like, what an amazing way to just mesh relaxing time with business time. Now, from a mental health perspective or from like a quality of life perspective, we can have an argument about free time versus business time. But like when you and I talk playing video games, it's either we say nothing because we're just too
which is
entrenched in the
very
game,
common because we've spent a bunch of time
or
together.
it's like, what are we going to do about this deal on this or that while we're sweeping through this dungeon. So would love to play with you guys if you guys want to talk real estate and kill some beings on Sanctuary. But other than that, man, I mean, I'm sure we're glossing over a thing or two because this week really has been quite busy for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is kind of a teaching moment where it's like, we had 30 things that we probably needed to do this week. Did we do all 30? No. But did we do the 3 or 4 or 5 most important things? Absolutely. And you just got to keep prioritizing the biggest needs, not the quickest needs, so to speak.
Yeah. I think what I think our team is, look, we've been very busy. We've been traveling. There's been a lot of things. I think what we have done as a team effectively over the last, say, 2 weeks is we've taken care of the big things. And there's, like you said, 6 or 8 things that got put on the back burner. As long as a team we're all comfortable with how that was prioritized, we're going to be fine.
That's right.
And so there would never there's never a point where we're saying, well, we're doing all this stuff, so that didn't get done. It's just, hey, this is what we prioritized. If that were a problem, then as a team we can talk about it. But
Bingo.
I really feel like as a team we prioritized all the right things.
Absolutely. How are we doing on timing wise? I hate to ask that question.
No, I think we're good. We can, let's wrap up, guys. We thanks so much for joining us for Power Hour. This is an opportunity for those of you who can't make it to our physical events, or in addition to our physical events, can get a little bit of the content we're giving out. We obviously can't quite break down everything into the level of detail that we can when we have a full 2 hours and we're sitting together and we can do some dialogues and stuff. But happy to watch the comments. We do that regularly. So if there's a question you have that we've kind of touched on, we're happy to mention in the comments, and then happy to hit it the next Power Hour. Other than that, we will see you guys for Power Hour next week, 12:30 to 1:30 Eastern. Let's do it.
Best of luck, guys. And remember, if you have a deal that you're struggling on, come by, talk to us about it. Let's see if we can.
Wait, we have one more thing.
Oh, Jesus.
So sorry. Last point that we didn't talk about is our transaction coordination business is fully off the ground. We QCTC, let's go. We've actually got a bunch of you guys in the local community who have responded and who are driving files into that business. And so what we're trying to do is use our business processes and resources and relationships to benefit you and your business so that you can spend more time marketing for deals and less time managing deals. And so if that would be valuable for you, hit us in the DMs
or email info@queencitytc.com.
Yep. But other than that, guys, we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.